Enugu police rescue 28 kidnapped victims, arrest 10 suspects, recover firearms, ammunition, and vehicles in sustained anti-crime operations. As part of sustained efforts to rid Enugu State of unrepentant violence criminals, operatives of the State Police Command under the directive of Commissioner of Police CP Mamman Bitrus Giwa have successfully rescued 28 kidnapped victims, arrested 10 male suspects, and recovered firearms, ammunition, cash, vehicles, motorcycles, and other exhibits in multiple coordinated operations. On May 18, 2025, at about 6:30 p.m., operatives attached to Umumba Police Division, working with the Neighbourhood Watch, forest guards, and community members, promptly rescued 2 male and 2 female victims kidnapped along Umumba Ndionu Agoba Road in Ezeagu local government area. Following a tactical bush combing operation, 4 male suspects linked to the crime were immediately arrested and are currently assisting with ongoing investigations. On the same day, at about 6:34 p.m., operatives from Night Mile Division swiftly responded to a distress call and rescued and rearrested a yet-to-be-identified male suspect from a violent mob. The suspect and 3 others had attempted to kidnap a woman who raised an alarm and was abandoned by the suspect. The rearrested suspect, who was severely beaten by the mob, was taken to hospital for treatment and is being investigated further. Similarly, operatives from Okpuje Police Division of the Command, in collaboration with Neighbourhood Watch and forest guards on May 17, 2025, carried out a strategic bush combing operation in a forest bordering Okpuje in Enugu State and Odolu in Kogi State. During the operation, they intercepted 2 men found with 150,000 naira and 70,000 naira respectively, intended for ransom payment, as well as loaves of bread and drinks menacingly requested by the kidnappers. Upon further incursion, the team encountered armed resistance from the kidnappers but responded with superior firepower, forcing them to flee with gunshot wounds and abandon the victims a pump-action gun and 2 live cartridges. The victims were rescued unhurt and the exhibits recovered. Efforts to track down the fleeing suspects are ongoing. Earlier on May 14, 2025, at about 5:30 a.m., operatives from Igbo-Eze North Division with the military and Neighbourhood Watch rescued 21 kidnapped victims in Amaka Opodu community in Kogi State. The victims, some of whom were returning from a traditional marriage ceremony, had been allegedly abducted on May 10, 2025, along the Iyonu Agwebeje Road in Igbo-Eze North local government area by hooded armed men. 5 male suspects were subsequently arrested following credible intelligence, and 3 firearms were also recovered. Additionally, a minibus and 4 motorcycles used by the traveling victims were earlier recovered from the scene of the crime. In another operation on May 13, 2025, at about 9:45 p.m., operatives of the Command's Anti-Kidnapping Tactical Squad, acting on credible information, rescued a kidnapped victim along the Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway and recovered his Toyota Camry, a white Toyota Corolla with registration number ENU703LP used by the suspects, and a Lexus 330 Jeep abandoned at the kidnapping scene in Premier Layout Independence Layout, Enugu, were also recovered. Operations to hunt down the fleeing suspects are ongoing. CP Giwa has commended the police operatives, the collaborating security agents, and law-abiding community members for their efforts in making the operation successful. He reaffirms the command's avowed commitment to make Enugu State safer and more secure by rooting out violent criminals and their activities, urging residents to remain law-abiding, vigilant, and cooperative with police and other law enforcement authorities.
Any officer found culpable will face severe disciplinary action. Specifically, I'm directed that the extortion of citizens before case documentation and handling must cease immediately, and that officers must refrain from meddling in civil matters, particularly land disputes, and instead explore alternative dispute resolution and restorative justice where applicable. I further warn them against unlawful arrest and prolonged detention without recourse to Western laws. I also emphasize the need for police officers to be emotionally intelligent and to put a human face to their work while coming down hard on unrepentant criminals and violators of the law. Recently, the command received a complaint via X, which is former Twitter, alleging the extortion of 250,000 naira by police officers attached to the distress response call. I immediately directed that the case be investigated and that the officers involved be tried in an orderly room. Once the trial process is concluded and the necessary approval is obtained from the Assistant Inspector General of Police on 13, since one of the team members holds the rank of Inspector of Police, the public will be duly informed of the punishment imposed. I have also ensured the redeployment of several supervisory officers and their subordinates who have conducted themselves unprofessionally to serve as a deterrent to others. I assure the public that I will spare no efforts in instilling discipline within the command and in upholding the ethics and codes that guide the activities of the Nigerian Police Force as a disciplinary institution. However, I seek the continued cooperation and support of all citizens in this regard. To enhance security, we are leveraging the state-of-the-art command and control center and distress call established by the Enugu State government under His Excellency Dr. Enugu State. These initiatives, including modern technology, will be maximally utilized for effective policing, ammunitions, and cultism. 1. Case of unlawful possession of fire and arrest of suspects. On April 30th, 2025, at about 11 a.m., police operatives of the command attached to the distress response squad while on routine patrol along Ozana Udi Road intercepted a commercial bus bound for Odisha and Anambra State. Upon searching the bag of one of the passengers, named Osobina Amadi, age 28 years, of Amulwa Masri in Afiku North, local government of Enugu State, recovered a locally made pistol. The suspect will be arraigned in court upon the conclusion of the ongoing investigation. The second case has to do with arrest of armed robbery suspects and recovery of firearms and ammunition and other exhibits. Following a report of threatening violence and assault, 2 male suspects, Orogu Chukwu, age 29, and Orogu Amechi, age 26, were arrested on the 27th of April 2025 at about 3 p.m. by operatives attached to our police division. The search warrant was executed at their residence on Harmony Road, Abakaliki, Enugu, which led to the recovery of 1 locally made pistol and 6 mobile phones. Upon interrogation, the suspects confessed to be members of an armed robbery gang and led operatives in a bush at Umuchigolike, Enugu, where a cut-to-size single barrel gun and 2 rounds of 7.62 by 39 mm ammunition were recovered. Further investigation is ongoing to apprehend their accomplices and recover additional exhibits. The third case is a case of arrest of notorious cultists and armed robbery suspects and recovery of firearm and ammunition. Following a report of armed robbery and cultism, operatives attached to the Ezeagu sector of the anti-cult tactical squad on April 24, 2025, arrested one Asokwa Kinsley, aka Severe, age 21. A Beretta pistol loaded with 5 live rounds of ammunition and an unregistered black Lexus car were recovered, along with a studio speaker and power bank stolen from the victim. The suspect confessed to the crime and identified himself as the leader of the Neo-Black Movement of Africa, otherwise known as the Black Axe. He's assisting in our investigation. The fourth case has to do with the case of arrest of suspects for conspiracy, armed robbery, murder, and recovery of G3 assault rifle. These operatives also attached to anti-cultism tactical squad on April 23, 2025 at about 4:45 p.m. recovered a G3 assault rifle with an empty magazine from 5 male suspects involved in a case of conspiracy, armed robbery, and murder. The suspects include 1 Sunday Akroyi aka Legba, age 32. Ofobike Promise Goji aka Ofo, age 32. Ebubechukwu Ikweme aka Achike, age 27. Chukwuebuka Obodo, age 33. Chinedu Emmanuel Eze, age 23. And Okechukwu Igwe aka Tiana, age 43. Akroyi, Igboji, and Ikweme were initially arrested for incredible information. However, their confessional statements led to further arrest of Eze and Igwe respectively, and the recovery of the firearm. The suspects will be arraigned in court once our investigations are concluded. The fifth case has to do with arrest of an armed robbery and cultism suspect and recovery of firearms and other weapons. Acting on a distress call reported that about an armed robbery incident along the Enugu Expressway. Operatives of the anti-cult tactical squad promptly responded and arrested one Chukwuebuka Okafor, age 38, where the following items were recovered. 1. A cut-to-size single barrel gun. 2. 1 expanded cartridge. 3. 1 pickaxe. 4. 1 cutlass and 1 walkie-talkie. The suspect confessed to be a member of the Supreme Vikings Confraternity and is assisting in the investigation of our case towards enabling us to arrest his accomplices. The sixth case is a case of arrest of suspects for conspiracy, unlawful possession of ammunition, cultism, and recovery of exhibits. Following a tip-off about suspected cultist activities in Watch in Enugu South local area, operatives of the anti-cult tactical squad. They also arrested the following male suspect with him while others fled. 1. Iwo Daniel, age 25. Ugu Theophilus, age 45. And Okafor Augustine, age 30. They confessed to be members of the Black Axe Confraternity. One locally fabricated double barrel bomb and 1 expended and 14 live cartridges were recovered from them. The suspects have been arraigned in court and remanded in the Correctional Custodial Center and trafficking, and then rescue of child and arrest of suspects. Acting on intelligence, operative of our anti-kidnapping squad to rescue a 4-year-old girl in Abia State on the 25th of March 2025. She was stolen on March 15, 2025 by her family's neighbor, one Esther Dejo, age 55, who was later arrested in Edo State on March 23, 2025. Her accomplice Onye Benjamin, age 62, was also arrested in Abia State. Ezeagu had rented an apartment in the same compound as the victim's parents in Edeobala, in Sukalo area, and kidnapped the child. Barely 2 weeks later, the suspects confessed and the case has been charged to court. So here, I have summary of the achievements which will be made known to you. The total number of suspects were arrested during my assumption of duty. That's the past 2 months. I've arrested a total of 228 suspects, which includes number of suspects arrested for armed robbery 42. Number of suspects arrested for kidnapping 33. Number of suspects arrested for murder 12. Number of suspects arrested for unlawful possession of firearms and ammunition 6. Total number of suspects arrested for rape and defilement 5. Total number of suspects arrested for cultism and associated crimes 44. Total number of suspects arrested for varieties of crimes, including stealing, breaking of fences, vandalism,
let's calm down, please.
149. Total number of persons we have rescued and the recoveries were made. Total number of 36 kidnapped victims have been successfully rescued, while a total of 44 firearms of different calibers have been recovered, including a G3 assault rifle. The total number of ammunition of different calibers recovered, 173. Total number of vehicular SUVs recovered, 20. In conclusion, gentlemen of the press, these brief descriptions of some of our modest operational successes are intended to provide insight into our unwavering efforts to combat crime in Enugu State. Despite the existing challenges, we remain committed to ensuring the state remains safe, secure, and peaceful for citizens, visitors, and investors to continue performing their lawful businesses. As I have repeatedly emphasized, the support and cooperation of all members of society remains paramount. Therefore, I urge all and sundry to continue to be law-abiding, vigilant, and promptly report criminals and their activities to the police and other relevant law enforcement agencies. I want to thank you for your time and attention, and may God bless you. So, rescue of a female victim that was held captive for almost 1 year, and the arrest of the suspects. Also relying on intelligence, operatives of the Command Octopus Tactical Squad on April 8, 2025 at about 7:30 p.m. rescued a 17-year-old female victim kidnapped since August 2024. The operation also led to the arrest of a 45-year-old male suspect involved in the crime, one Chidioke Paul of Agbo Reamodu in Kano, West Local Government. The suspect and his gang had initially attempted to kidnap the victim's guardian, but abducted the victim instead due to the guardian's age and age. he held. He collected a ransom of 750,000 naira without releasing the victim until her rescue. The suspect confessed to the crime and is assisting with ongoing investigation. We have another case of arrest of the kidnapping suspect. On 2nd April 2024, acting on intelligence, operatives of the anti-kidnapping squad arrested a male suspect named Ademulawa, aged 30 years, in Ajakuta in Kogi State. The suspect confessed to being part of a kidnapping gang that operated along Igbo-Eze North Road and behind Adoration Ground MN. He's assisting us in our ongoing operation investigation, which is aimed at apprehending his gang members and recovering evidence. I have another case of conspiracy, kidnapping, armed robbery, arrest of suspects, and recovery of firearms and ammunition and other exhibits. We are on the 3rd of April 2025. Operatives of the Anti-Court Tactical Squad arrested the following suspects based on intelligence. 1. Ezeagu alias Naira, aged 36 years. Igbo-Eze alias Shak, aged 46 years. Ugu Moses, aged 47. Ezeagu and Godwin were arrested in Suka, where Ugu was arrested in Onitsha, Anambra State. The suspects kidnapped a male victim on November 27, 2024 at about 9 p.m. in Suka using his Toyota Corolla car. They took him to an unknown location and obtained a ransom of 1,077,000 and made away with his car and mobile phones. When we arrested the suspects, we recovered the following exhibits: one locally made pump action gun, 3 locally made guns, 5 live cartridges, 2.9 mm caliber rounds, 1 black Yamaha motorcycle, 1 money-point POS machine, 4 mobile phones, 3 pairs of military uniforms, 1 Neighbourhood Watch uniform, 1 police training manual, 2 pairs of hand gloves, 1 set of knee and elbow guards, and then 1 pepper spray. I will not delve into cases of armed robbery, unlawful possession of firearms. Those suspects arrested for various offenses, including kidnapping, armed robbery, rape, and defilement, child trafficking, stealing, unlawful possession of firearms and ammunition, vandalism, cultism, drug trafficking, and other related crimes. Note that many of the cases have been charged to court, and the suspects involved remanded in the Nigerian Correctional Custodian Centers. Others will similarly be charged to court once investigations are concluded. I will now give you a brief description of some of the cases. 1. Rescue of a kidnapped couple and arrest of suspects. Acting on credible information, police operatives from the Rumumba Division, with active support from law-abiding citizens, rescued a kidnapped husband and wife on 6th of May 2025 at about 5:35 p.m. The victims were rescued in a forest in Okpuje in Diono community, Ezeagu. The citizen-assisted operation also led to the arrest of 2 male suspects named English, 28 years.